Right now, as you are watching this, a massive storm system is tearing across the United States from Texas to the Great Lakes. Tornadoes are on the ground, blizzard conditions are raging across the northern plains, and at the same time, on the other side of the country, the Southwest is about to experience something that has literally never happened before in recorded weather history. 108 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. In March. Let that satisfying for a second. The average high temperature in Phoenix does not even reach 108 degrees in the middle of summer. And yet, multiple forecast models, not one, not two, but every single major ensemble system is projecting that number for next week, in March. Meanwhile, tornadoes are spinning up from Houston to Chicago. Severe thunderstorm warnings are firing across 8 states simultaneously. And a brutal cold front is about to slam into the southeast, dropping temperatures by 40 degrees in less than 12 hours. This is not a normal weather week. This is a weather emergency unfolding across the entire country. From coast to coast, records are about to be broken. Some of them have stood for more than half a century. And if you live anywhere in the United States, this video contains critical information you need to hear in the next 15 minutes. Every single region is affected. Every single state has something unusual happening with the weather right now or in the coming days. Now here is what I promise you. By the 5-minute mark of this video, you will know exactly when storms will hit your area, how bad they will get, and precisely when they will end. I am going to cover more than 270 cities and locations across America, from the biggest metropolitan areas to smaller towns that never get mentioned on the national forecast. Because your weather matters no matter where you live. And stay with me to the 7-minute mark because that is where I am going to reveal the one city that could shatter a temperature record that has stood for more than 50 years. It is not Phoenix, it is not Tucson. It is a city you would never in a million years expect to see these kinds of temperatures in March. You do not want to miss that. But first, let me tell you what is happening right now on the ground because the situation is developing fast and lives could be at stake tonight. A powerful spring storm system is currently racing across the central United States. This is not your typical March weather maker. This system has all the ingredients for a dangerous setup. Extreme temperature contrasts, abundant moisture streaming up from the Gulf of Mexico, strong wind shear, and a jet stream that is absolutely screaming at over 150 miles per hour at 30,000 feet. When meteorologists see a setup like this, they pay attention. When they see all of these ingredients come together at the same time, they start issuing warnings. And that is exactly what is happening right now across a huge swath of the country. On the north side of this system, blizzard conditions, heavy snow falling across Nebraska, the Dakotas, and into Minnesota. We are talking about whiteout conditions, drifting snow, and dangerously cold wind chills. Highways are closed. Travel is not recommended. And on the south side of this exact same storm system, violent thunderstorms. And I mean violent. Multiple tornadoes have already touched down across Illinois and portions of Indiana. The damage near Chicago has been described as awful. We are talking about long-track tornadoes, the kind that stay on the ground for miles, chewing through neighborhoods and farmland. Emergency crews are responding right now to multiple damage reports. And here is the thing that should grab your attention. This storm is not done, not even close. Let me walk you through exactly what is happening, region by region, city by city, hour by hour, because timing is everything when severe weather is bearing down on your home. Starting in Texas, if you are in Houston right now, you are in the middle of it. A weather impact alert is in effect across the Houston metropolitan area. The good news, and I want to lead with this because I do not want to frighten anyone, the good news is that so far, we have not seen severe weather damage in the Houston metro area itself. What we are seeing is a lot of heavy, soaking rain. Roads are wet. Traffic is absolutely snarled. Headlights are on. Wipers are going. Visibility is reduced significantly in downtown. If you are on the road right now in Houston, slow down. Give extra following distance. Keep your headlights on. This is the biggest impact from the weather so far, just making driving difficult and dangerous. But if you are east of Houston, pay very close attention. Liberty County, you are in the crosshairs right now. The leading edge of the strongest weather has just pushed through Liberty proper. Dacetta down to Moss Bluff, you are on the leading edge of that line and could see wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour as it comes through. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for areas east of Livingston and Cleveland, pushing into the piney woods of East Texas. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour are possible. 3/4-inch hail is possible, and while radar is not currently showing tight rotation, which is the good news, an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out in this environment. The atmosphere still has plenty of energy to work with. One more important note for Houston area travelers. Bush Intercontinental Airport had a ground stop in effect earlier. They are now working to get flights moving again as the severe threat has shifted east, but expect significant delays this afternoon and evening. If you have a flight, check with your airline before heading to the airport. Hobby Airport is also experiencing delays due to the heavy rain and reduced visibility. Here is the exact timing for the Texas coast and East Texas. Angleton, the storms reach you by 3:25 this afternoon. Freeport, expect the line by 3:52. Port Arthur, 4:18. Galveston, 4:27. By 4:35, once this system pushes off the Galveston coast, the severe weather threat for the Houston area will be effectively over. But do not let your guard down completely. After the main line passes, an upper-level low spinning near College Station will produce wraparound showers and isolated thunderstorms through the evening hours. These storms will not be severe, but here is a twist. Because of the upper-level low, the freezing level is lower than normal. That means you could see small hail from some of these trailing storms, especially between 6:30 and 8:30 this evening. By 10 o'clock tonight, it is all over. Everything clears out, and then Houston, something beautiful happens. The kind of weather change that makes you fall in love with living on the Gulf Coast. A north wind gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour will sweep all that fog and humidity right out of here. You are going to walk outside tomorrow morning and the air will feel different. Crisp, clean, clear. Tomorrow morning you wake up to 52 degrees and a light jacket weather. By the afternoon, a gorgeous 72 degrees under a sunny sky with winds backing off through the day. It is going to feel like a completely different city compared to the mess outside right now. Here is your 7-day outlook for Houston and Southeast Texas. Thursday, 52 in the morning, high of 72, sunny and breezy. Friday, low near 49, high of 78, absolutely beautiful. Saturday, highs near 80. Sunday, warmer still, around 80. Then a stronger cold front delivers a glancing blow Monday and Tuesday, with lows dropping into the 40s and highs only reaching the low to mid-60s. Now let me move to the other side of this massive storm system, because what is happening across the Deep South tonight is something you need to know about. Alabama, you are next in line, and this is where things get complicated. Heavy rain has already been falling across northwest Alabama this evening. But the real concern is a cluster of thunderstorms that are developing right now over southeastern Mississippi. These storms are feeding on extremely warm, humid air that has been sitting over central Alabama all day, and they are heading your way. The Storm Prediction Center is preparing to issue a tornado watch for Mississippi and several counties in West Alabama. Between now and 8 o'clock this evening, this is the window you need to be most alert. Let me give you specific timing. If you are in Fayette County, a heavy thunderstorm is currently tracking from Berry and Albertville toward Walker County at 30 to 35 miles per hour. Gordo, expect that storm around 7:27 this evening. Coker, around 7:46. Samantha, around 7:56. Now here is where the plot thickens. Between 7 o'clock tonight and 1 o'clock in the morning, across the central part of Alabama, in that light blue threat zone, there is potential for isolated severe thunderstorms. The combination of that warm, humid air and a weak front passing through creates just enough lift and instability to produce dangerous storms. But wait, the greater threat may actually be further south. South of Demopolis, Selma, and Montgomery, through the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning, the severe weather potential increases. This is the area that needs to stay most vigilant through the night. After the storms pass, here is what happens. By 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, the rain should be gone. But then the wind picks up, and I mean really picks up. Gusts up to 30 miles per hour during the late morning hours, sustained through the afternoon and evening with gusts between 15 and 20 miles per hour. Temperatures in Alabama are going to plummet. Tomorrow, Thursday, highs will struggle to reach the mid-50s, and with that wind, it is going to feel even colder than that. By Friday morning, temperatures drop into the mid to upper 30s. Frost is possible in many locations. Here is your Alabama 7-day. Thursday, windy and cold, highs in the mid-50s. Friday, frost possible in the morning, then sunshine with highs in the upper 70s. Saturday, gorgeous, mid to upper 70s under sunny skies. Sunday night into Monday, another cold front pushes through, and this one brings a second round of potential severe weather. Monday and Tuesday are marked as first warning impact days. Temperatures will crash into the upper 20s and low 30s, putting a lot of plants that have already started blooming at serious risk. And that is a critical point that deserves repeating. This has been such an early start to the growing season across the Southeast. Trees are blooming weeks ahead of schedule. Gardens are already planted, flowers are out, azaleas are in full color, dogwoods are blooming, and now Mother Nature is about to deliver a hard freeze that could damage or destroy all of that progress. If you are a gardener, a farmer, or just someone who spent money on flowers last weekend, this matters to you. Alabama, if you have planted anything in the last few weeks, you need to have a plan to protect it by Monday. I will say that again because it is that important. Have a plan to protect your plants by Monday. Cover them with sheets, blankets, or frost cloth. Bring potted plants inside. Water the soil around your plants heavily on Sunday because moist soil retains heat better than dry soil. These simple steps can mean the difference between losing everything and keeping your garden alive through this cold snap. Do not skip the next section about Oklahoma. Even if you do not live there, the pattern I am about to describe is going to affect the entire central United States. Now let me take you to Oklahoma, because this state is caught between two worlds right now. And if you live in Oklahoma, you know exactly what I mean. One day it is 80 degrees and you are grilling outside. The next day it is 25 and you are scraping ice off your windshield. That is Oklahoma weather. But what is coming this week takes that roller coaster to another level entirely. The clouds are clearing across Oklahoma this evening, and that sounds like good news, but it is actually setting up a dangerous scenario. Clear skies tonight mean radiational cooling, which is when the heat from the ground escapes straight up into the atmosphere with nothing to trap it. And that means frost and freeze conditions are coming, possibly as early as tonight. Here is the current situation. The last of the clouds are lingering across southeastern Kansas and eastern Oklahoma. North winds are blowing at 24 miles per hour with gusts up to 31. The temperature has dropped to 53 degrees and it feels cold. If you are in the eastern part of the state, temperatures have been stuck in the 40s all day because the clouds never broke. Now here is the setup for Oklahoma over the next several days, and it is a real roller coaster. Tonight, patchy frost and freeze conditions, especially in outlying areas and valleys. From southeastern Kansas down to Muskogee, Okmulgee, and Okemah, temperatures will be near or at freezing by morning. If you put out flowers, planted your garden, or set out any tender plants recently, listen to me carefully. Bring them inside tonight. Do not leave them out. And here's the kicker. You should keep them inside through the weekend and into the beginning of next week because an even worse freeze is coming. Thursday, tomorrow, beautiful weather, temperatures in the 60s across most of Oklahoma. Enjoy it. Friday, even better, upper 60s to low 70s. Saturday, we climb into the 70s to near 80. It is going to feel like spring has arrived in full force. But then Sunday happens, and Sunday is going to be one of the strangest weather days Oklahoma has seen in a while. The morning starts warm in the 60s with south winds pumping moisture northward. You might even see some light drizzle. But then, in the late afternoon, a powerful cold front slams through. North winds explode to 30, 35, maybe gusting to 40 miles per hour. Temperatures start falling during the afternoon hours. And fire danger spikes dramatically because the air behind the front is bone dry. This is important. The combination of strong winds and dry air on Sunday afternoon creates extreme fire danger conditions. With all the dormant vegetation still hanging around from winter, any spark could become a wildfire very quickly. There will be some days with lighter winds where prescribed burns can be conducted safely, but Sunday afternoon is absolutely not one of those days. After Sunday's cold front, Monday delivers the knockout punch. Temperatures crash into the mid to upper 20s across a huge portion of the viewing area. Just about everybody freezes Monday night. This is not a marginal frost. This is a hard freeze. Here is your Oklahoma 9-day forecast. Tonight, cold, frost, and freeze possible. Thursday, gorgeous, 60s. Friday, upper 60s to low 70s. Saturday, 70s to near 80. Sunday morning, warm, 60s, then cold front arrives in the afternoon. Temperatures fall from the 50s to the 40s with drizzle possible early and extreme fire danger late. Monday, hard freeze, mid to upper 20s. The rest of next week begins a big warming trend again. Now, I told you at the beginning of this video that I would reveal something at the 7-minute mark that would shock you, and here it is. This is the part of the video you absolutely cannot miss. Do not skip ahead to the next section until you hear this. Do not scroll away. Do not check your phone, because what is about to happen in the Southwest United States has never happened before. Not in your lifetime, not in your parents' lifetime, not in your grandparents' lifetime, not in the entire history of weather records for the state of Arizona, which goes back more than 130 years. Phoenix, Arizona is currently in the midst of a significant warming trend. Yesterday, the high was 77 degrees, which is right around the average of 76 for this time of year. Today, temperatures are climbing into the low to mid-80s. Warm, yes, but not alarming. Not yet. Tomorrow, Thursday, Phoenix will hit the upper 80s to low 90s. Some desert locations will flirt with the mid-90s. A few record highs could be challenged. Friday, mid-90s in Phoenix. Upper 90s possible in the warmest desert spots. The high country will see temperatures way up in the 60s and 70s. Saturday and Sunday, low to mid-90s again. Now here is where the records start falling. The record high for these days is 92 degrees. It is a near certainty that Phoenix will at least tie that record and very likely break it on both days. But that is just the warm-up act. Monday. The record high temperature in Phoenix for that date is 99 degrees, set back in 2007. Forecasts are calling for highs in the mid to upper 90s, a range of 94 to 98. We might just barely stay under the record. Might. And then Tuesday arrives. High pressure parks itself directly on top of the southwest. The upper-level ridge heights climb to between 588 and 591 decameters. For those of you who are not meteorologists, let me put this in perspective. These are the kinds of upper-level heights you would normally see in late June or July. Not March. Tuesday SS forecast for Phoenix. Upper 90s to approximately 102 degrees. Now let that sink in. If Phoenix hits 100 degrees on Tuesday, it would be the earliest 100-degree reading in the city's entire recorded history. If it exceeds 100 degrees, it would break the all-time record high temperature for the entire month of March. But wait, it gets more extreme. Wednesday, March the 18th. This is the day that every meteorologist in the Southwest is staring at in absolute disbelief right now. This is the day that will go in the history books. The upper-level ridge heights are projected to reach 591 to potentially 594 decameters. Now, I know that number does not mean anything to most of you, so let me translate. In more than 20 to 30 years of looking at upper air data for the Southwest, that level has never been observed. Not once. Ever. Not in March. Not in April. These are heights that you might see in the most extreme heat events of July, and even then, rarely at this magnitude. The national blend of models, which is an ensemble approach, not a single outlier model, not a cherry-picked extreme forecast, but a consensus of multiple models, is projecting high temperatures of 106, 108 degrees for the Phoenix area by the middle of next week. Let me put those numbers in context for you. The all-time record high for March in Phoenix is 100 degrees. The all-time record high for April is 105 degrees. To find a time when Phoenix has reached 108 degrees, you have to go well into May. The average high temperature in Phoenix does not reach 106 until the end of June. It does not reach 107 until July. And the average high temperature in Phoenix actually never hits 108. Yes, people who live there know that 108 happens in the summer, but that is July and August. This is March. This is not clickbait. This is not exaggeration. This is not engagement farming. Every single objective analysis, every model, every ensemble approach is pointing toward the same conclusion. The Southwest United States is about to experience a historic heat wave that will shatter records that have stood for generations. And here is the part that should really make you think. This is not just a Phoenix story. El Centro, California, just across the border from Arizona, is showing almost identical temperature projections, a carbon copy of the Phoenix forecast. Triple-digit heat by the middle of next week, and now for the city I promised would shock you, Denver, Colorado. Stay with me here because this is jaw-dropping. Denver, the mile-high city, the place where it snowed just last week, a city that sits at 5,280 feet above sea level in the shadow of the Rocky Mountains. Denver's forecast shows a warming trend that is almost hard to believe. Tomorrow and Friday, warming up nicely. Saturday, pleasant spring weather. Sunday, a brief cool down with highs in the 40s as a system passes through. Nothing unusual there. That is normal Denver weather. But then look what happens going into next week. This is where I need you to pay close attention. The all-time record high temperature for Denver in the entire month of March is 84 degrees, set on March 26, 1971. That record has stood for more than 55 years. 55 years. Think about that. Through every warm March since then, through climate patterns shifting, through everything, that record has held firm at 84 degrees. There is a very strong probability that Denver will not just break that record, but shatter it, with highs potentially reaching the mid to upper 80s. 88 degrees in Denver, Colorado in March. Take a moment and try to wrap your head around that. That would smash a 55-year-old record by 4 degrees. In the world of weather records, breaking a record by 4 degrees is not just notable, it is extraordinary. It is the kind of thing that makes veteran meteorologists stop and stare at their screens. People will say that Phoenix being hot is expected because it is the desert. Fine, I hear that all the time. But how do you explain Denver? How do you explain 88 degrees at 5,280 feet above sea level in the Rocky Mountains in March? This is not a desert phenomenon. This is a continental-scale heat event that is rewriting the rules of what March weather looks like in America. And by the way, it is not just Denver and Phoenix. Let me show you how widespread this extreme warmth is going to be. The Climate Prediction Center has placed the Southwest in its highest possible category for above-average temperatures. 90 to 100% probability of above-average readings for the 8 to 14-day period. And this warmth extends across most of the nation. Meanwhile, the precipitation outlook for the Southwest is heavily skewed toward below average. Phoenix is looking at essentially zero rainfall through at least March 25th. The GFS ensemble shows barely above zero. The European ensemble shows the same thing. The European Artificial Intelligence Ensemble confirms it. Out toward 13 to 14 days, a few ensemble members pick up on tiny amounts of precipitation, but meaningful rain is nowhere in sight. Some people in the comments have been saying that early April might bring a pattern change. And while there probably will be a pattern shift at some point, that timeline is more optimistic than what the data currently supports. A 594 decameter ridge is not just going to pack up and leave overnight. When a ridge this strong sets up shop, it takes a significant pattern disruption to break it down, and right now there is no clear signal for when that disruption will arrive. Now let me expand this forecast to give you the detailed outlook for major cities across the country, because this weather pattern affects everyone, not just the Southwest. I'm starting in the West. Los Angeles, California. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s to low 90s by the middle of next week, well above average for mid-March. Dry conditions persist. Fire weather concerns are elevated. San Diego, California, similar trajectory, low to mid-80s by the weekend, pushing toward the upper 80s to potentially low 90s next week. Enjoy the beach weather, but stay hydrated. Las Vegas, Nevada. Currently warming rapidly. Expect mid-90s by the weekend and flirting with triple digits by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. The record for March in Las Vegas is 101 degrees. That record could be in serious jeopardy. Tucson, Arizona. Following the same extreme path as Phoenix. Low 90s by the weekend, pushing toward 100 degrees and beyond by the middle of next week. Palm Springs, California. One of the hottest spots in the country under this pattern. Triple-digit heat likely by Monday at the latest, potentially reaching 110 or higher by midweek. Albuquerque, New Mexico. The high desert is not immune. Temperatures will push well into the 80s by the middle of next week, far above the average of 61 degrees for this time of year. Salt Lake City, Utah. A dramatic warming trend kicks in after a brief cool period this weekend. Highs could reach the mid to upper 70s by the middle of next week, which is remarkable for a city that averages 54 degrees in mid-March. Boise, Idaho. Warming significantly next week. Upper 60s to potentially mid-70s. Well above the average of 54, Sacramento, California. Already warm, getting warmer. Upper 80s to potentially low 90s by midweek next week. The Central Valley will be baking. San Francisco, California. The marine layer will moderate temperatures near the coast, but inland areas will be scorching. Expect mid-70s to low 80s in the city, significantly above the average of 62, Portland, Oregon. While the extreme heat is more of a Southwest story, Portland will see above-average temperatures next week, reaching the upper 60s to low 70s. Not extreme, but well above the average of 55, Seattle, Washington. Similar to Portland, upper 50s to mid-60s, above average but moderated by Pacific influence. Reno, Nevada. Upper 70s to potentially low 80s by the middle of next week. The average high for mid-March is only 54 degrees. That is a departure of more than 25 degrees above normal. Fresno, California. Deep in the Central Valley, Fresno could see upper 80s to low 90s, a taste of summer arriving months ahead of schedule. Bakersfield, California, another Central Valley city that will bake under this ridge. Expect low to mid-90s by midweek next week. Flagstaff, Arizona. Even at 7,000 feet, the heat will be remarkable. Highs in the 60s and 70s, which is extraordinary for a mountain town that averages in the mid-40s this time of year. Sedona, Arizona, mid to upper 80s, possibly approaching 90, a beautiful but unusually hot stretch for Red Rock country. Yuma, Arizona, one of the hottest cities in America during summer, and next week it will feel like summer. Triple-digit heat is virtually guaranteed, with potential highs approaching 110, Scottsdale, Arizona, tracking right with Phoenix. Expect the same 100-plus degree readings by the middle of next week. Mesa, Arizona, same story. 106 to 108 degrees possible by Wednesday. Tempe, Arizona. With all that concrete and asphalt around Arizona State University, the urban heat island effect will push temperatures even higher. Stay hydrated, Sun Devils. Chandler, Arizona. Triple digits by Tuesday at the latest. Plan accordingly. Gilbert, Arizona. Same forecast. Record-shattering heat by midweek. Glendale, Arizona. 100-plus by midweek. If you have outdoor events planned, reconsider the timing. Peoria, Arizona. Following the valley-wide trend. Historic heat. Surprise, Arizona. The only surprise is how hot it is going to get. Triple digits in March. Goodyear, Arizona. West Valley will be equally affected. Plan for extreme heat. Avondale, Arizona. Same. 100-plus degrees by the middle of next week. Now let me shift to the mountain west because this ridge is going to bake the interior of the country too. Denver, Colorado. As I already mentioned, potentially shattering a 55-year-old record with highs approaching 88 degrees by late next week, Colorado Springs, Colorado, following Denver's lead, mid to upper 80s possible, which would be extraordinary at 6,035 feet elevation. Boulder, Colorado, similar to Denver, record-challenging heat next week. Fort Collins, Colorado, upper 70s to low 80s, well above the average of 54. Pueblo, Colorado, even warmer than Denver. Low 90s are not out of the question by the end of next week. Grand Junction, Colorado, already tends to be warmer than the Front Range. Expect mid to upper 80s. Santa Fe, New Mexico, upper 70s to low 80s. The average high is only 55. That is a departure of more than 25 degrees. Roswell, New Mexico, low to mid 80s, well above average. Las Cruces, New Mexico, upper 80s to low 90s. Tracking close to the Phoenix heatwave. El Paso, Texas. West Texas will bake under this ridge, mid to upper 90s likely by the middle of next week. Midland, Texas, upper 80s to low 90s. Oilfield workers, stay hydrated. Lubbock, Texas, upper 80s. Record-challenging warmth. Amarillo, Texas, another city that will see remarkable warming. Upper 70s to low 80s by late next week. Cheyenne, Wyoming. Even at 6,062 feet, expect upper 70s to potentially low 80s. Astonishing for March. Casper, Wyoming, mid to upper 70s, 20 to 25 degrees above average. Billings, Montana, upper 60s to potentially mid 70s. A dramatic warm-up from recent cold and snow. Missoula, Montana, upper 50s to low 60s. Above average warmth filtering in. Bozeman, Montana, similar to Missoula. A pleasant warm spell after a cold start to March. Rapid City, South Dakota. Roller coaster weather continues, cold with the current system, then warming dramatically into the upper 70s to low 80s by late next week. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Warming trend next week, mid to upper 60s, well above the March average of 43. Bismarck, North Dakota. Currently frigid with the storm system, but even Bismarck will see dramatic warming. Mid-50s to low 60s by late next week. Fargo, North Dakota, same pattern. Cold now, dramatically warmer by next week. Now, I told you I was going to cover the entire country. So let me move to the central United States because this region is dealing with the most active severe weather right now. Do not skip this next section if you live anywhere from Texas to the Great Lakes. The severe weather setup today has produced tornado watches from southeast Texas to Louisiana and from southern Indiana through Ohio into northern West Virginia, Maryland, and extreme northern Virginia. This is a massive area of concern spanning hundreds of miles. We are talking about at least 8 states simultaneously under some form of severe weather alert. That is extraordinary even for an active spring season. And here is something critical that many people do not realize. The tornado threat does not end when the sun goes down. In fact, nighttime tornadoes are often more dangerous because people are sleeping, visibility is near zero, and the warning time is sometimes just minutes. If you are in the tornado watch zone tonight, please make sure you have a way to be woken up by a tornado warning. A weather radio with a same alarm set to your county is the gold standard. Your smartphone weather app with notifications turned on is a good backup. But please have something. Let me break it down by city and region. Chicago, Illinois. The worst of the severe weather has already impacted areas near Chicago. Multiple tornadoes touched down across Illinois and portions of Indiana. Conditions are beginning to improve, but remain alert for additional storms through the evening hours, Indianapolis, Indiana, on the eastern edge of the severe weather threat. The tornado watch includes portions of Indiana. Stay weather aware through the evening, Cincinnati, Ohio, currently under a tornado watch. The potential exists for strong to violent tornadoes in this area. Damaging winds and large hail are also threats. The watch extends through the evening hours, Cleveland, Ohio, also under a tornado watch. Strong storms expected through this evening. Have your safe place identified and be ready to take shelter immediately if a warning is issued for your area, Columbus, Ohio, in the slight risk area for severe weather. Thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail are possible through the overnight hours. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Under a tornado watch. Strong to severe storms expected this evening. The jet stream is running directly over this area, providing exceptional wind shear for tornado development. Louisville, Kentucky. Northern Kentucky is included in the tornado watch. Severe storms expected through the evening hours. Nashville, Tennessee, in the slight risk area. Storms are possible, though the greatest tornado threat is further north and east. Birmingham, Alabama, in the slight risk area for severe weather. As I detailed earlier, storms will be pushing through overnight. Stay weather aware. Huntsville, Alabama, also in the slight risk area. The line of storms will reach North Alabama by the late evening hours. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, watching for storms through the overnight period. The threat extends into the early morning hours Thursday. Montgomery, Alabama. The overnight severe weather threat is notable here, particularly south of the city where the warm, humid air is richest. Jackson, Mississippi. In the path of the developing storms, thunderstorms currently forming over southeastern Mississippi will push eastward through the evening. New Orleans, Louisiana. On the southern edge of the slight risk area, storms possible, but the tornado threat is lower here than further north. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, similar to New Orleans. Storms possible, but the greatest severe threat is to the north. Memphis, Tennessee. On the western edge of the threat area, storms have already pushed east of Memphis, St. Louis, Missouri. The main line of storms has already passed through, improving conditions expected through the evening. Kansas City, Missouri, behind the cold front now, cold and windy conditions. Temperatures falling tonight. Wichita, Kansas, also behind the front, cold and windy. Fire danger concerns tomorrow as dry air and wind combine with dormant vegetation. Omaha, Nebraska. Snow from the north side of the storm system has already fallen and is melting rapidly as the sun came out. Cold tonight with clearing skies. Des Moines, Iowa. Clearing and cold tonight, well behind the storm system now. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Cold and windy. The storm system brought significant impacts to the upper Midwest. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Impacts from the storm system through this evening, then clearing and cold. Detroit, Michigan. Watching for the tail end of the severe weather as the system pushes east. Stay alert through the late evening hours, Baltimore, Maryland. On the eastern edge of the tornado watch area, strong storms possible late tonight. This is unusual for the mid-Atlantic, so make sure you have a way to receive warnings even while sleeping. Washington, District of Columbia. Near the edge of the severe weather threat. Storms possible late tonight into the early morning hours. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The slight risk area extends close to Philadelphia. Strong storms possible late tonight. Now let me take you to the southeast and the Gulf Coast with more specific city forecasts. Atlanta, Georgia. Storms passing through this evening, followed by a dramatic cool-down Thursday. Highs in the mid-50s with gusty winds. Back to the upper 70s Friday and Saturday. Charlotte, North Carolina, on the edge of the storm system. Some storms possible overnight, then clearing and cooler Thursday. Raleigh, North Carolina, similar to Charlotte. Brief storm threat, then cooler weather Thursday. Charleston, South Carolina. Storms push through late tonight, then a beautiful stretch of weather Thursday through Saturday. Savannah, Georgia. Same pattern. Storms tonight, gorgeous weather Thursday forward. Jacksonville, Florida, on the southern fringe of the severe weather. Rain possible, but severe threat is lower. Pleasant weather Thursday through the weekend. Highs in the mid-70s. Tampa, Florida, south of the main severe weather. Some rain possible, but not expecting significant storms. Warm and humid with highs near 80. Miami, Florida, well south of the storm system. Typical warm and tropical conditions. Highs in the low to mid-80s through the entire period. If you are looking for a weather escape, Miami is the place to be this week. Orlando, Florida, briefly unsettled tonight, then beautiful through the weekend. Theme park weather will be excellent. Highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. Fort Myers, Florida, warm and pleasant. Highs near 80 with low humidity. Beautiful beach weather. Naples, Florida, same as Fort Myers. Gorgeous weather ahead. Daytona Beach, Florida. Breezy Thursday, then warming into the upper 70s for the weekend. St. Petersburg, Florida. Sunshine returns Thursday. Highs in the upper 70s. Clearwater, Florida. Perfect beach weather Thursday through the weekend. Sarasota, Florida. Lovely conditions ahead. Highs near 80. West Palm Beach, Florida. Warm and humid. Highs in the low 80s. Typical March weather for South Florida. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Same as West Palm. Warm, humid, and pleasant. Key West, Florida. The southernmost city in the continental United States remains warm and tropical. Highs near 83. Light winds, beautiful fishing weather. Mobile, Alabama. Storms tonight, then a dramatic shift to cool, dry weather Thursday. Highs only in the upper 50s. Pensacola, Florida. On the Gulf Coast, watching storms tonight. Cooler and drier Thursday. Back to warm by the weekend. Tallahassee, Florida. Storms through the overnight, then clearing Thursday. A classic March pattern for the Big Bend. Now for the Northeast, because this storm system has implications for you too. And honestly, some of you in the Northeast might be surprised to hear that you are even in the severe weather discussion for tonight. But you are. New York City, New York. The tail end of the severe weather could bring strong storms to the area late tonight into the early morning hours. The main threat is damaging wind gusts. A brief tornado is not impossible. That might sound alarming for New York City, but it has happened before and the setup tonight supports it. Cooler weather moves in Thursday, with highs in the upper 40s to low 50s. A brisk day with a northwest wind, Boston, Massachusetts. Northeast of the main threat area, but gusty winds and a few strong storms are possible late tonight. Much cooler weather Thursday and Friday with highs in the mid-40s. Break out the heavier jacket again. Hartford, Connecticut. On the edge of the severe threat, strong, gusty winds possible tonight. Cooler weather Thursday with highs near 50, Providence, Rhode Island. Similar to Boston. Windy overnight, then cooler through the end of the week. Newark, New Jersey, close to the severe weather threat zone. Strong to possibly severe storms late tonight. Keep your phone charged. Trenton, New Jersey, same as Newark. On the edge of the threat area, Wilmington, Delaware. Storms possible late tonight. Gusty winds the primary concern. Cooler Thursday, Dover, Delaware. Similar setup. Watch for storms in the late night hours. Bridgeport, Connecticut. Strong winds possible tonight as the system pushes through. New Haven, Connecticut. Same pattern. Gusty overnight, then a cool and breezy Thursday. Worcester, Massachusetts. Northwest wind will make Thursday feel raw. Highs only in the mid-40s. Springfield, Massachusetts. Gusty tonight, then chilly Thursday and Friday. Manchester, New Hampshire. Cold and blustery Thursday. Highs in the low 40s. Concord, New Hampshire. Same as Manchester. A reminder that spring has not fully arrived in northern New England. Burlington, Vermont. Cold and unsettled. Flurries possible Thursday morning, Portland, Maine. Cold and breezy Thursday, highs near 40, but the warming trend next week will be noticeable even this far north. Bangor, Maine. The coldest spot in the northeast Thursday, highs only in the upper 30s, Augusta, Maine. Similar to Bangor, bundle up Thursday, Buffalo, New York, well north of the main severe threat. Cold and blustery conditions tonight and Thursday. Some lake effect snow showers possible off Lake Erie. Rochester, New York, cold and breezy. Lake effect clouds Thursday. Syracuse, New York, cold and unsettled. Some lake effect snow possible Thursday. Highs in the low 40s. Albany, New York, cold and blustery Thursday. Highs only in the mid-40s. The wind will make it feel 10 degrees colder. Now the upper Midwest and northern plains. Green Bay, Wisconsin, cold and windy tonight. The storm system dumped snow across parts of the region. Improving conditions Thursday. Madison, Wisconsin. Behind the cold front. Temperatures dropping into the 20s tonight. Duluth, Minnesota. Bitter cold tonight. Single digits possible. The warm-up next week will be dramatic. Grand Forks, North Dakota. Temperatures below 0 tonight. Welcome to March in North Dakota. But even here, significant warming is coming next week. Sioux City, Iowa. Cold tonight, but the warming trend begins this weekend. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Clearing and cold tonight. Nice weather returns by the weekend. Davenport, Iowa. Behind the front. Cold tonight, improving Thursday. Springfield, Illinois. The severe weather has already passed. Assessing damage from the storms. Cold and windy tonight. Peoria, Illinois. Same as Springfield. Storm damage assessment ongoing. Cold tonight. Champaign, Illinois. In the zone hardest hit by tornadoes today. Our thoughts are with anyone affected. Cold and windy conditions settling in. Now the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley. Dallas, Texas. Behind the front. Cool and breezy Thursday. Highs in the low 60s. A nice break from the recent warmth. Fort Worth, Texas. Same as Dallas. Cooling down temporarily before the heat builds back next week. San Antonio, Texas. Storms pushing through this evening, then clearing. Cooling down Thursday with highs in the upper 60s. The heat builds back by the weekend. Austin, Texas. Similar to San Antonio. A brief respite from warmth before the ridge builds back. Shreveport, Louisiana. Storms this evening, clearing overnight. Cool Thursday with highs in the low 60s. Little Rock, Arkansas. Behind the cold front. Cool and breezy Thursday. Highs near 60. Tulsa, Oklahoma. As I detailed, cold tonight with frost possible. Gorgeous Thursday and Friday. Big temperature swings this weekend. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Same pattern as Tulsa. Cold tonight, beautiful Thursday and Friday, dramatic cold front Sunday, hard freeze Monday. Wichita Falls, Texas. Cooling down behind the front. Fire weather concerns this weekend as dry conditions persist. Abilene, Texas. Brief cool down, then the heat builds back significantly next week. Corpus Christi, Texas. Storms pushing through, then cooler temporarily. Back to warm by the weekend. Brownsville, Texas. On the extreme southern end of the front. Brief cool down, but temperatures stay mild. McAllen, Texas. Similar to Brownsville, the front barely reaches the Rio Grande Valley. Laredo, Texas. Minimal impact from the front. Warm conditions persist. Beaumont, Texas. In the severe weather zone right now. Storms pushing through this evening. The worst should be over by 5 o'clock. Then clearing and cooler, Tyler, Texas. Storms this evening, clearing tonight. Cool Thursday, Texarkana, Texas. Behind the front, clearing and cool. Now for the Midwest and Great Lakes in detail. St. Paul, Minnesota. Cold and windy tonight. Dramatic warming trend next week. Rochester, Minnesota. Same pattern. Cold now, much warmer next week. La Crosse, Wisconsin. Behind the storm system, cold tonight, improving Thursday, Appleton, Wisconsin, cold and blustery, improving by the weekend, Rockford, Illinois, near the path of today's tornadoes. Storm damage being assessed, cold and windy tonight, South Bend, Indiana, on the edge of the severe weather. Some storms possible this evening. Colder air arriving overnight, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Under the tornado watch this evening, stay alert. Cold air arrives overnight, Evansville, Indiana. Severe storms possible through the evening. The tornado watch includes your area. Take this seriously. Terre Haute, Indiana. Same as Evansville. Severe weather threat through the evening. Lexington, Kentucky. On the edge of the severe weather. Storms possible through the early morning hours. Bowling Green, Kentucky. Watching for severe storms this evening. The front pushes through overnight. Paducah, Kentucky. The main line has already passed. Clearing and cooling. Akron, Ohio, under the tornado watch. Severe storms possible this evening. Toledo, Ohio, on the northern edge of the severe weather. Strong storms possible. Dayton, Ohio, tornado watch in effect. Be prepared to take shelter. Youngstown, Ohio. Severe weather possible this evening as the storm system pushes east. Canton, Ohio, same as Youngstown. Stay weather aware. Parkersburg, West Virginia, under the tornado watch. Strong storms possible this evening. Charleston, West Virginia, on the edge of the severe weather threat. Monitoring closely. Morgantown, West Virginia, included in the tornado watch area. Storms expected this evening. Wheeling, West Virginia, also under the watch. Severe weather possible through the evening. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, near the eastern edge of the severe weather. Strong storms possible late tonight. Scranton, Pennsylvania, on the fringe of the threat area. Gusty winds the main concern. Erie, Pennsylvania, watching for severe weather this evening. Lake effect enhancement possible. Let me also cover the Pacific Northwest and Northern California in more detail. Spokane, Washington, behind the current storm system that is dropping snow across the northern Rockies. Cold and blustery tonight. But the warming trend next week will push Spokane into the upper 60s, well above the March average of 48. Eugene, Oregon. Mild and damp through Thursday, then a nice warming trend into the weekend. Upper 60s by Saturday. Medford, Oregon. The Rogue Valley will warm up significantly next week, upper 70s to potentially low 80s. Fire season concerns are starting early this year. Redding, California, northern Sacramento Valley will bake, low 90s possible by the middle of next week. That is summer heat arriving in March. Eureka, California. The marine influence keeps Eureka cool, but even here, temperatures will be above average. Mid-60s, which is noticeably warm for a city that averages 55 in March. Santa Barbara, California, upper 70s to potentially low 80s. The Santa Ana wind pattern could kick in briefly, pushing temperatures higher and increasing fire danger. San Jose, California. South Bay will see upper 80s by the middle of next week. Silicon Valley workers might want to leave the jacket at home. Oakland, California, moderated somewhat by the Bay, but inland areas of East Bay could reach the upper 80s, a significant departure from the normal 63 in Stockton, California. Deep in the Central Valley, expect low 90s. Agricultural workers need to take extra precautions in this heat. Modesto, California, same as Stockton, low 90s by midweek. Stay hydrated and limit outdoor work during peak afternoon hours. Riverside, California, the Inland Empire is going to roast. Upper 90s to potentially triple digits by the middle of next week. Air quality could deteriorate under the stagnant high pressure. San Bernardino, California, tracking with Riverside. Expect extreme heat by midweek. Oxnard, California. Coastal moderation keeps it in the low 80s, but that is still well above average. Ventura, California, similar to Oxnard. Low 80s with breezy conditions. Santa Maria, California, mid to upper 70s, above average but not extreme thanks to marine influence. Paso Robles, California. Inland wine country will see upper 80s to potentially low 90s. Warm for the vines this time of year. Santa Cruz, California, upper 60s to low 70s near the coast. Warmer inland through the mountains. Monterey, California, the marine layer keeps things cooler. Upper 60s. But that is still above the March average of 61. Now for the mountain states and Great Basin. Provo, Utah. Following Salt Lake City's trend, mid to upper 70s by the middle of next week. Ogden, Utah. Same pattern. Dramatic warming from the 50s into the 70s. St. George, Utah. Southern Utah will be scorching. Low 90s to potentially mid-90s. This area is already warm in March, but next week takes it to another level. Moab, Utah. The Red Rock Desert will feel like May or June. Mid to upper 80s, Idaho Falls, Idaho. The warming trend pushes temperatures into the upper 60s to low 70s by the middle of next week. That is 20 degrees above average. Pocatello, Idaho. Same trajectory as Idaho Falls, well above normal warmth. Twin Falls, Idaho. Upper 60s to low 70s. A dramatic departure from the average of 50, Helena, Montana, warming into the upper 60s to low 70s by late next week. After recent cold and snow, this will feel like a different season entirely. Great Falls, Montana, upper 50s to low 60s initially, then climbing further by the end of next week. Kalispell, Montana, near Glacier National Park, mid-60s possible by late next week. The snowpack will take a hit under this warmth. Butte, Montana, even the mile-high city of Montana will see unusual warmth. Mid-50s to low 60s, Rock Springs, Wyoming. Upper 60s to low 70s. Southwest Wyoming will feel the influence of the building ridge. Laramie, Wyoming, high on the plains at 7,165 feet. Even here, mid-60s are possible by the middle of next week. Jackson, Wyoming, the Tetons will see above average warmth. Mid-50s to low 60s in town. Avalanche danger will increase as the snowpack destabilizes. Let me also give you the forecast for more cities in the South and Mid-Atlantic. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Storms possible late tonight, then clearing Thursday. Highs in the low 60s Thursday, warming back to the 70s by the weekend. Richmond, Virginia. On the edge of the severe weather threat tonight. Strong winds the primary concern. Cooler Thursday, Norfolk, Virginia. Same as Virginia Beach. Strong storms possible overnight. Roanoke, Virginia. Mountains may see some stronger storms tonight. Cooler Thursday, Knoxville, Tennessee. Storms push through overnight. Cooler and breezy Thursday with highs in the mid-50s. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Storms tonight, then a significant cool down. Upper 50s Thursday, Memphis, Tennessee, already behind the front. Clearing tonight, cool Thursday with highs near 60. Tupelo, Mississippi. Storms this evening. The tornado threat extends into this area. Stay alert through midnight. Hattiesburg, Mississippi. In the warm sector, storms possible through the overnight hours. Stay weather aware. Biloxi, Mississippi. Gulf Coast storms possible tonight. Clearing Thursday. Gulfport, Mississippi. Same as Biloxi. Watching for storms, then improving conditions. Shreveport, Louisiana. Behind the front. Clearing and cooling overnight. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Storms pushing through this evening. The severe threat diminishes after midnight. Lafayette, Louisiana. Same pattern. Storms this evening, clearing overnight. Alexandria, Louisiana. Central Louisiana watches the storms push through. Cooler air arrives by morning. Monroe, Louisiana. Storms through the evening, then clearing. Cool Thursday. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Behind the front, clearing and cool. Fort Smith, Arkansas. Cold front has passed. Breezy and cool tonight. Jonesboro, Arkansas. Storms have pushed east. Clearing and chilly. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas is behind the front. Clear and cold tonight. Frost possible. Springfield, Missouri. Behind the front. Cold and breezy. Frost possible by morning. Joplin, Missouri. Same as Springfield. Clear skies and cold temperatures tonight. Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Behind the front. Chilly overnight. Columbia, Missouri. Clearing and cold. The storm system has moved east. Jefferson City, Missouri. Same pattern. Cool and clear overnight. Topeka, Kansas. Behind the cold front, cold and windy. Fire danger concerns this weekend. Manhattan, Kansas. Cold and breezy tonight. The warming trend kicks in by the weekend. Salina, Kansas. Same pattern. Cold now, warming to come. Dodge City, Kansas. Western Kansas is dry, cold, and windy. Fire weather concerns elevated for the next several days. Garden City, Kansas. Extreme fire danger this weekend. Dry fuels, low humidity, and strong winds create a dangerous combination. Liberal, Kansas. Same fire weather concerns as the rest of southwestern Kansas. Now let me circle back to the big picture because there is something happening on a continental scale that ties all of this together. Right now, the weather map across the United States looks like a tale of two countries. In the east, from the Gulf Coast to the Great Lakes, you have an active, severe weather setup with tornadoes, damaging winds, large hail, and heavy rain. Behind the cold front, temperatures are plummeting. It is 18 degrees below zero in parts of northern Canada. Churchill is 20 below. Sub-freezing temperatures extend all the way into the northern United States. In the west, you have the exact opposite. A massive high-pressure ridge is building, bringing record-shattering warmth that will only intensify as we go into next week. And here is the critical connection. The jet stream that is driving the severe weather in the east is the same jet stream that is creating the ridge in the west. They are two sides of the same coin. The jet stream is taking a dramatic dip southward over the eastern half of the country, creating a trough that generates storms. And to compensate, it is surging northward over the west, creating the ridge that is producing the unprecedented heat. This means that by the time we get to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, that trough will push the cold air all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico. Houston, you will feel it. Lows in the 40s, highs in the low to mid-60s. Alabama, you will feel it even more. Lows in the upper 20s and low 30s. Oklahoma, hard freeze, mid to upper 20s. And at the exact same time, the Southwest will be baking under potentially the hottest March temperatures ever recorded in the history of weather observation in the United States. Now let me give you the rainfall outlook, because for many of you, this is a huge concern. Oklahoma. The last 7 days brought heavy rain to the south and east, with Tulsa picking up 4 inches and some areas getting a ½ inch. But once you move west and northwest, it has been hit and miss, more miss than hit. Many areas have not picked up much precipitation at all. And looking ahead over the next 7 days and even the next 2 weeks, there are no big storm systems on the horizon. That is good news for severe weather, but terrible news for drought and fire danger. Oklahoma's fire risk remains elevated with dry conditions, dormant vegetation, and strong winds on multiple days, Phoenix and the southwest. 0 rainfall expected for at least the next 10 days. The GFS Ensemble, the European Ensemble, and the European Artificial Intelligence Ensemble all agree. No rain. Period. The drought will only intensify under this unprecedented heat dome. Southeast Texas and the Gulf Coast. Today's storms will bring beneficial rainfall to many areas, but it is a one-and-done deal. Drier conditions return by Thursday. Alabama and the southeast. Good rainfall tonight with the storm system, then drier weather settles in through the weekend before the next system arrives Sunday night. Now, before I wrap up this forecast, let me address something important. I know this is a lot of information. I know it can feel overwhelming when you see severe weather, historic heat, hard freezes, and fire danger all happening at the same time across the country. But knowledge is power. The more you know about what is coming, the better prepared you can be. So let me distill this down to the most critical action items for each region. If you are in the severe weather zone tonight, and that stretches from southeast Texas to Louisiana, across the deep south into Alabama and Mississippi, and from Indiana through Ohio, northern West Virginia, Maryland, and extreme northern Virginia, have your safe place identified right now. Not later, not when the warning sounds. Right now. Know where you are going to go. Keep your phone charged. Have a way to receive weather warnings, especially if you are going to bed tonight. A weather radio with an alarm is the single best investment you can make for your family's safety. These storms will be moving through in the overnight hours, and tornadoes after dark are significantly more dangerous because people are asleep and cannot see them coming. If you are in the freeze zone for later this weekend and early next week, and that includes Oklahoma, parts of North Texas, and much of the southeast, including Alabama and surrounding states, protect your plants. I cannot stress this enough. Bring in anything tender. Cover what you cannot move with sheets or frost cloth. If temperatures are going below 28 degrees in your area, drip your faucets to prevent pipe damage. Check on any outdoor pets and make sure they have shelter and unfrozen water. The timing here is Sunday night into Monday morning for most of these areas. If you are in the Southwest, and I am talking Phoenix, Tucson, Las Vegas, Palm Springs, El Centro, Yuma, and everywhere in between, start preparing now for extreme heat. Do not wait until next week. Make sure your air conditioning is working today. Get it serviced if you have any doubts. Stock up on water. Buy extra ice. Check on elderly neighbors and family members who may not have adequate cooling. Limit outdoor activity during the hottest parts of the day, which will be from about 10 in the morning to 6 in the evening starting this weekend and especially next week. If you have pets, do not leave them outside during peak heat hours. The pavement temperatures can reach 150 degrees or higher under this kind of heat, and that will severely burn their paws. Walk your dogs early in the morning or late in the evening only. And if you work outdoors, talk to your employer about heat safety plans now, before the extreme heat arrives. If you are in a fire-prone area, and that includes much of Oklahoma, western Kansas, the Texas Panhandle, West Texas, and parts of the Southwest, be extremely careful with anything that could spark a fire. No outdoor burning of any kind. No dragging chains on pavement. No parking vehicles in tall, dry grass where a hot catalytic converter can start a fire. No fireworks, no target shooting in dry areas. One mistake in these conditions, with the dry fuels, low humidity, and strong winds that are forecast, can turn into a wildfire that destroys homes and threatens lives within minutes. Now, I want to hear from you. This is important. Drop a comment right now telling me what city or town you are in. I read every single comment. I want to know where you are watching from, and I will do my best to give you a specific forecast update in the comments section. Whether you are in Phoenix watching the thermometer climb toward the impossible, or in Alabama bracing for storms tonight, or in Oklahoma wondering if your garden will survive Monday morning, or in Denver trying to imagine 88 degrees in March, tell me where you are. Your comment helps me understand which areas need the most attention in our next update. And the more specific you are, the better forecast I can give you. Do not just say Texas. Tell me Dallas, Houston, El Paso, Amarillo. The more I know about where you are, the better I can serve you. Also, if you have family or friends who live in any of the areas I covered in this video, do them a favor and share this with them. Send them a link, text it to them. A simple heads up about what is coming could make a real difference, especially for the severe weather tonight and the extreme heat next week. Looking out for each other is what we do. And speaking of the next update, here is a preview of what is coming. Do not miss this. Tomorrow, I am going to have a full, detailed breakdown of the severe weather damage from today's tornadoes across Illinois and Indiana. The damage reports are still coming in right now as we speak, and by tomorrow we will have a much clearer picture of just how powerful these storms were. Some initial reports suggest we could be looking at strong tornadoes, possibly EF3 or higher, that is, winds exceeding 136 miles per hour. We will know more by morning. I am also going to be tracking the southwest heat wave in real time as the models update tonight. If the projections shift, if they go higher or lower, you will be the first to know. There is a realistic possibility that the models could push even higher than 108 degrees for Phoenix next week. The European Artificial Intelligence model and the GFS model have been in remarkable agreement, which almost never happens with a forecast this extreme. If they continue to agree on tomorrow's model runs, we are truly in uncharted territory. And I will break it all down for you in plain English, no meteorological jargon, just the facts you need. And there is another storm system I have not even mentioned yet that is developing for the middle of next week across the plains. It is too early for specifics, but the initial signals suggest it could be another significant severe weather event. The same jet stream pattern that is producing today's tornadoes will set up again next week. The pattern is not calming down. If anything, it is ramping up. The clash between the unprecedented warmth in the west and the cold air in the east creates the exact kind of battleground where severe weather thrives. Tomorrow's video will have all of that and more. The detailed city-by-city forecasts will continue. I will have updated timing for the cold fronts, the freezes, and the heat wave. And I will answer as many of your city-specific questions as I can from the comments. So leave that comment now. Tell me your city. Tell me what you want to know. Do not miss that video. Set your notifications right now so you do not miss it. This is shaping up to be one of the most extreme weather weeks in recent American history, and I will be here every single day to guide you through it with the most detailed, accurate, and honest forecasts you can find. Stay safe out there tonight, America. I mean that sincerely. If you are in the path of these storms, take shelter when the warnings come. Do not wait. Do not try to watch from your porch. Do not go outside to look at the sky. Get to your safe place immediately. An interior room on the lowest floor away from windows. Bring your pets with you. Bring a pillow or blanket to cover your head. Have shoes on in case you need to walk through debris. Tornadoes can appear with almost no warning after dark, and they do not care if you are watching. They move fast and hit hard. For those of you in the Southwest preparing for historic heat, take it seriously even though it might not feel dangerous right now. Heat is the #1 weather-related killer in the United States. More people die from heat than from tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods combined. When temperatures reach 108 degrees, it only takes minutes for heat exhaustion to set in if you are not careful. Drink water even if you do not feel thirsty. Stay in air-conditioned spaces, wear light-colored, loose-fitting clothing, and never, ever leave a child or pet in a parked car, not even for a minute. A car's interior temperature can reach 170 degrees in less than 10 minutes under these conditions. For the rest of you, from the cold and frost in Oklahoma to the windy conditions across the plains, from the fire danger in Kansas to the chilly air moving into the southeast, keep an eye on the sky. Keep your phone charged and check back tomorrow for the latest. The weather is telling us something this week. It is telling us that March 2026 is going to be one for the record books. Multiple records will fall, some that have stood for generations. And the week is only getting started. Remember, drop your city in the comments. I want to hear from every single one of you. Whether you are watching from a small town in Alabama or a big city in California, your weather matters, and I want to make sure you have the information you need to stay safe and prepared. Stay safe, stay informed, stay vigilant. And I will see you in the next update with even more detailed forecasts, damage reports from today's tornadoes, and the latest on that historic Southwest heat wave that could rewrite the record books in ways we have never seen.